This is Reality Dispatch by Jim Mins.
It was 4 degrees warmer than usual in the Manhattan courtroom on day 17 of the trial. This was because the bailiff reset the thermal reading of the air conditioning for the first time in his 18 years of service. Juror number 3 had complained to the judge that the room was colder than a human could stand. To sit and focus on a 10-hour day in these freezing conditions is a task that is becoming harder and harder. Whilst prudent to point out that some days were shorter than others, the large cohorts in the public gallery and the risk of COVID-19 infections, if the air was not to circulate regularly, the judge reluctantly agreed. Number 7 sat in his usual seat. Second row, third from the end. He felt the noticeable trickles of sweat beating down his back, drawing his attention to the change in humidity. He looked around the packed courtroom, trying to gauge who was responsible for this unacceptable adjustment. It angered him. He was already an angry man. The trial had injected a heightened level of excitement into his otherwise normal existence. He was a mechanic who diligently provided his services exclusively to yellow cabs. He had a dependable, if somewhat loyal customer base. This was all put at risk since he was impaneled. But it was worth the pain, for he was now sitting in the room with none other than the former president of this here United States. 7 was indifferent to the former president. He didn't vote for the man. He hadn't voted at all. He knew at some stage in the past that he had formed a negative opinion of him. But to see him here, sitting in all his glory, his face a perfect radiance of orange glow, and that ever-famous hair, was it real? It all seemed unreal, regardless of if it was a toupee or not. The novelty of staring at the former president had worn off by the end of the first week. Now it was a battle against exhaustion that came in a flurry whenever a particularly lengthy and obtuse testimony was given. The porn star was different, that he was awake for. But today it was an attorney. The president's former attorney. He sounded like a scorned bride, a man with an axe to grind. He wasn't afraid to showcase his disdain. This put 7% off. 7 had already broken the rules of court by discussing the case with his better half. Just you remember, Grandma Molly. She'd still be alive today if it wasn't for that man Fauci. Fauci made them vaccines that killed your auntie. 7 pondered this conversation amongst other reminders of his family's perception of the misdeeds of government. Although it could not be said that these misgivings were founded on fact, they were nonetheless provocative of his feelings towards the former president. They may even prove a deciding factor when the deliberations commence.
For more fact-based fiction, head to jimmins.substack.com.